Good morning, dear students. How are you all? I believe you are all keeping well. Okay, take care. Be safe at home. Dear students, in our previous session, we have done with the drama Dear Departed Part 1, Segment 1. Okay, so in today's session, we are going to complete our lesson Dear Departed Part 1 completely. Okay, so we are going to deal with the segment 2. Okay, before we get into the segment 2, let's have a recap of what we have done in our previous session. The story begins with Mrs. Slater telling her daughter Victoria to change her dress before the arrival of her sister Elizabeth and Elizabeth's husband Ben. Okay, Mrs. Slater's husband Henry has sent them a telegram with the message of the death of his father-in-law, and Elizabeth and Ben are coming to talk over the old man's affairs. Okay, Henry wonders if they would come at all because Elizabeth has said that she would never set foot in their house again. But Mrs. Slater says that her sister will come fast enough after her share of what their father has left. Mrs. Slater asks her husband to wear the new slippers of her father. She also suggests that they should replace their shabby old chest of drawers with the valuable bureau of her father, which is in his bedroom. He agrees to do it after some hesitation. Mrs. Slater wants to do it before their arrival. Mrs. Slater fastens the door and she and her husband carry the old chest of drawers upstairs. Henry is shocked when Victoria asks him if they are pinching Grandpa's bureau. He replied that Grandpa has given it to her mother before his death. Mrs. Slater carries a handsome clock and puts it on the mantelpiece. Mrs. Slater and her husband carry the pretty old-fashioned bureau downstairs and put it in the place of the chest of drawers. So, dear students, this is the gist of our previous session. I believe you have understood, right? Okay, now let's continue with the rest of it. Victoria ushers in Ben and Mrs. Jordan. The latter is a stout, complacent woman with an irritating air of being always right. She is wearing an outfit of new mourning. Ben is also in complete new mourning. He is rather a jolly little man, but at present trying to adapt himself to the regrettable occasion. Mrs. Jordan sails into the room and solemnly goes straight to Mrs. Slater and kisses her. The men shake hands. Victoria welcomes Ben and Mrs. Jordan. Now, how is Mrs. Jordan described as? She is a stout, complacent woman. The meaning of complacent is self-satisfied. Okay, self-satisfied. With an irritating air of being always right, she thinks she is always right. Okay, and she is dressed up in a mourning outfit. Okay, now Ben is also in complete mourning dress. Okay, he is actually a jolly little man, but he is trying to adapt himself to the regrettable occasion. Now, what is meant by regrettable occasion? Feeling sorry for the occasion. Now, what is that occasion? That is the death of his father-in-law. Okay. Mrs. Jordan, she moves into the room and goes to her sister Slater, Mrs. Slater, and hugs her and she kisses her. And both the men, who are those men? One is Henry Slater, other one is Ben. Both of them shake their hands. Do you understand? Well, Amelia, and so he's gone at last. Yes, he's gone. He was 72 a fortnight last Sunday. She snips back a tear. Now, Amelia, you mustn't give way. We all have to die some time or other. And now perhaps you'll tell us all about it. So Mrs. Jordan says to Amelia, so he is gone at last. Okay, now what is meant by he is gone? He is dead. And Mrs. Slater says, yes, he is dead. He was 72 years old just last 2 weeks ago. Okay, fortnight is 2 weeks back. Okay, and then Ben says to Amelia that we all have to die sometime or other. And again, Mrs. Jordan asks to narrate how it had happened or how he died. Do you understand? Father had been married this morning. He went out soon after breakfast to pay his insurance. My word, it's a good thing he did. He always was thoughtful in that way. He was too honorable to have done without paying his premium. So Mrs. Slater starts narrating how it had happened. She says her father had been well happy that morning. He went out after his breakfast to pay his insurance. Okay, and then Ben says it was a good thing that he did. What was a good thing that he did? Paying the insurance. Okay, and Mrs. Jordan says that he was always thoughtful about it. Okay. And when I came in, I found him undressed, sure enough, and snug in bed. And when we had finished dinner, I thought I would take up a bit of something on a tray. He was lying there for all the world as if he was asleep. So I put the tray down on the bureau, correcting herself on the chest of drawers, and went to wake him. He was quite cold. Now Henry continues, he says, when he came in, he found him undressed and he was snug in bed. The meaning of snug is warm and comfortable. Okay, so he was sleeping warm and comfortably. Okay, then Mrs. Slater continues. She says when they had finished dinner, she thought she would take up something on a tray for her father. So when she goes to the room, she found her father as if, he was asleep. So she puts the tray down on the bureau, and when she says, bureau, immediately she corrects herself. Okay, she says on the chest of drawers. Why does she say? Because she has already pinched the bureau of the father and she has placed old chest of drawers in the place of bureau. Okay, simple. She has taken the bureau from his father's room and in place of bureau she has kept the old chest of drawers. Okay, so when she goes and touches him, okay, and she was trying to wake him, she found that he was quite cold. Okay, do you understand? Rising briskly at length and business-like tone, well, will you go up and look at him now, or shall we have tea? What do you say, Ben? I'm not particular. Surveying the table, well then, if the kettle's ready, we may as well have tea first. Mrs. Slater puts the kettle on the fire and gets tea ready. One thing we may as well decide now is the announcement in the papers. So once Mr. and Mrs. Slater narrate how Abel Merriweather had passed away, Mrs. Slater asks Ben Jordan and Elizabeth Jordan whether they would go up and look at him. Okay, or they would go for tea. Then Mrs. Jordan asks her husband, Ben, okay, what do you say? And Ben says he was not particular about it, to go and see. Okay, then Mrs. Jordan says, well then, if the kettle is ready, they would have tea first. Okay, so Mrs. Jordan says that they would go for tea if the tea is ready. Okay, now Mrs. Slater puts the kettle on the fire and makes the tea ready. Okay, then everything was ready when they sat for having tea. Henry says that they have to decide the announcement in the paper, that is dividing the property. Okay? I was thinking of that. What would you put? Well, we'll think about it after tea and then we'll look through his bits of things and make a list of them. There's all the furniture in his room. There's no jewelry or valuables of that sort, except his gold watch. He promised that to our Jimmy. So Mrs. Jordan says that she was also thinking about it. And she says, okay, let's think about it later. But now let's make a list of all the bits of things that her father has in his room, including furnitures. Okay, and Henry says that he has no jewelry or valuables of that sort. Then Mrs. Jordan reminds that her father had promised the gold watch to her son Jimmy. Okay? Promised your Jimmy? I never heard of that. Oh, but he did, Amelia. When he was living with us, he was very fond of Jimmy. Well, I don't know. Anyhow, there is his insurance money. Have you got the receipt for the premium he paid this morning? So when Mrs. Jordan says that her father had promised the gold watch to her son Jimmy, Mrs. Slater becomes annoyed. She says, I never heard. She says that she never heard of that. But Mrs. Jordan says that when her father was staying with them, he had promised to give the gold watch to her son and he was very very fond of Jimmy. Now who is Jimmy? Jimmy is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Jordan. Okay. Then Mrs. Slater says, well, I don't know. She says that she does not know. Okay. And then Ben interrupts. He says, he asks or he inquires about the premium he had paid that morning, whether they have got receipt for it or not. Okay. I've not seen it. Victoria jumps up from the sofa and comes behind the table. Mother, I don't think Grandpa went to pay his insurance this morning. He went out. Yes, but he did not go into the town. He met old Mr. Tattersall down the street and they went off past St. Philip's Church. Do you think he hasn't paid it? Was it overdue? So Mrs. Slater says that she hasn't seen the receipt of his insurance premium. Okay, and as they were discussing, Victoria jumps in and says, I think Grandpa has not paid the insurance. But Mrs. Slater says that her father, Abel Merriweather, went out, and Victoria says that he did not go into the town. He went to meet his old friend Mr. Tattersall, and both of them went to St. Philip's Church. Okay, and then Ben immediately asked or questions that Abel Merriweather had paid the premium or not, or it is overdue. Okay, I should think it was overdue. Something tells me he's not paid it. The drunken old beggar has done it on purpose just to annoy us. After all I have done for him, having to put up with him in the house these 3 years, it's nothing short of swindling. So Mrs. Slater says that maybe the premium was overdue, and Mrs. Jordan says that she confirms that he has not paid the premium, and immediately Ben addresses Abel Merriweather as drunken old beggar. Drunken old beggar. Whom is he addressing? His father-in-law Abel Merriweather. Okay, and Mrs. Jordan says that her father had done it on purpose to just annoy them or to irritate them. Then immediately Mrs. Slater says that her father had been with them for these 3 years and she had to put up with him in the house for the 3 years. And she says that it is nothing short of swindling. Okay, now what is meant by swindling? Cheating somebody for property or money. Okay, I had to put up with him for 5 years, and you were trying to turn him over to us all the time. Victoria, run upstairs and fetch that bunch of keys that's on your grandpa's dressing table. Victoria timidly, in grandpa's room? Yes. When Mrs. Slater says that she had to put up with her father for 3 years in her house, Mrs. Jordan says that she had to put up with her father for 5 years. Then Mrs. Slater says that she was trying to turn him over to them all the time. And Mrs. Slater says to her daughter Victoria to run upstairs and fetch the bunch of keys that were on Grandpa's dressing table. Okay, now Victoria asks, okay, in Grandpa's room. Then Mrs. Henry Slater says, yes, go to Grandpa's room, get the bunch of keys that are lying on Grandpa's dressing table. Okay, I don't like to. Don't talk so silly. There is no one can hurt you. Victoria goes out reluctantly. We'll see if he has locked the receipt up in the bureau. In where? In this thing? He rises and examines it. Also rising, where did you pick that up, Amelia? It's new since last I was here. They examine it closely. Oh, Henry picked it up one day. So when Mrs. Henry Slater asks her daughter Victoria to go and get the bunch of keys from her grandfather's dressing table, Victoria says that she doesn't like to go. Okay, and her mother says, okay, her mother tells her not to talk silly, and there is nobody to hurt her. Okay, so that if she brings the bunch of keys, she would check if the receipt is there in the bureau. Okay, now when Mrs. Henry Slater says, let us check in the bureau the receipt, Ben asks, where in this thing? He rises and examines it closely. What is he examining? He is examining the bureau. And even Mrs. Jordan also, she stands, she rises. Okay, now she asks, where did you pick that up, Amelia? Okay, now what is it that here? It's a bureau. Okay, it's new since last I was here. Okay, it's very new seems to be. They both of them examine very closely. Then Mrs. Slater says, Henry picked it up one day. Okay. Victoria returns very scared. She closes the door after her. Mother, mother. What is it, child? Grandpa's getting up. What? What do you say? So when Victoria goes to Grandpa's room to get the bunch of keys, okay, she finds something so scaring. Okay, she returns very scared. She closes the door and she runs, calling out her mother, mother, mother. And Mrs. Slater asks, what happened, child? And Victoria says that her grandpa is getting up. Okay, then Ben asks, what? Okay, Mrs. Slater asks, what do you say? Okay, she asks her daughter, what do you say? Grandpa's getting up. The child is crazy. Don't talk so silly. Don't you know your grandpa's dead? No, 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 he's getting up. I saw him. They are transfixed with amazement. Victoria clings to Mrs. Slater. Suddenly hissed, listen. When Victoria's mother asks what happened, Victoria says that her grandfather was getting up, and Mrs. Jordan says, child is so crazy. Okay, and Mrs. Slater says, okay, Victoria's mother says, Victoria, please don't be silly, don't talk silly things. Your grandpa is dead. But Victoria says, no, no, he is getting up. Okay, he is getting up, and she says she saw him. Okay. Now all of them become motionless. They are transfixed, okay, with amazement. They are all motionless. They have become motionless now. Victoria clings to her mother. She goes and holds her mother. Then Ben says, listen. He says, listen. They look at the door. A slight chuckling is heard from upstairs. The door opens, revealing an old man clad in a faded but gay dressing gown. He is in his stockinged feet. Although over 70, he is vigorous and well colored. His bright, malicious eyes twinkle under his heavy, reddish gray eyebrows. He is obviously either the old man, Abel Merriweather, or else his ghost. They all were transfixed. They looked at the door, and there was a slight chuckling noise heard from upstairs. Now, the meaning of chuckling is um, laughing quietly out of amusement. Okay, so the door opens and reveals an old man standing. Okay, and he comes down the stairs. He is 70. He is over 70 years old, but he is very vigorous. He is very enthusiastic, very strong, and well colored. Okay, his bright, malicious eyes twinkle under his heavy, reddish gray eyebrows. Okay, his bright, malicious eyes twinkle. Okay, twinkle under his heavy, reddish gray eyebrows. He's obviously Abel Merriweather. Okay, now when they saw him coming, they thought whether it is Abel Merriweather or else his ghost. Okay. So dear students, this is the end of our Dear Departed Part 1. Okay, so we have completed segment 2 also. I believe you have understood. Have you? Fine. See you in the next session for the Dear Departed Part 2. Till then, take care. Bye.